People believe V has finally addressed the whole Zionism claims. Many believe Jennie might be disappointed after a recent fan interaction, as well as people saying that HYBE is trying really hard to delete JK. So hey dumplings, this is Dave Disci. Let's get into it. Sometimes there are rumors that go around that are a little bit confusing to me because it seems to be very biased, and when it starts to pick up steam, that's when I start to get really confused. One particular thing happened where some people were talking about the mistreatment with JK versus not just the other members of BTS, but any of the members of any group in HYBE. So they start talking about how specific members have been treated with great things or whatever, and that JK instead receives horrible treatment or gets forgotten about or things like that. And for the most part, these theories are very confusing to me because I definitely don't see them, and it seems not only like hyperfixating on small details, but misinterpreting and coming up with your own ideas and theories about these small details that were then misinterpreted. For example, people were talking about how when the members came back from the military, one of their first stops was at J-Hope's last concert. It was absolutely amazing that JK ended up going up on that stage and performing, and I guess some people noticed that JK and his performance at the end was cut off or potentially deleted off some pages. I guess some people say that the label had taken down specific pieces of content. However, I could not find any real pieces of evidence showing that the label took it down. But I can't believe that the label can take things down due to copyright and that sort of stuff, so that does make sense to me. But people were then saying that the reason why it was taken down was because JK was getting a lot of praise, and some people were saying that JK got more praise than J-Hope, and thus it was taken down to highlight J-Hope more or whatever it was. And this is interesting to me because I don't believe the official concerts and the videos were fully posted onto any official HYBE pages. The footage is available to watch on X as well as on YouTube and other platforms, but I don't believe any came from any official sites. This is important to note because obviously this means that if it were to be taken down, it wasn't taken down from any official sites. It wasn't like the label was actively choosing to cut or trim specific parts and delete it. Videos being taken down for copyright and that sort of stuff, of course, makes sense. Other theories that I have, which is just simply that the fact that I think Scooter Braun has officially retired and was in charge of a lot of JK's solo music. So if he is retired and he potentially owns some of the music, I don't know, then that would make sense that he maybe wouldn't want that stuff floating around, or those songs, or that he even would have the ability to take it down. But that's just a theory, of course. I don't know if that's true. But again, as I said, I couldn't find any actual proof of the videos being taken down due to praise or the videos being taken down in general. Another thing we have to realize is even if the videos were taken down due to the fact that JK was getting praise, it makes sense for the videos to be taken down as this was not JK's own concert. The concert was meant to highlight J-Hope and his achievements and his album and all that stuff. If JK and his performance at the end of J-Hope's concert is being overshadowed, then of course it would make sense that anyone would step in and kind of mitigate, just simply because it wasn't JK's full moment. He was a guest at the concert, and we would hopefully want this for any of the artists, and we would expect that HYBE would step in for any individual artist should they feel like the artist is getting overshadowed. And again, this is just a theory because we don't actually know if this whole thing is true or not. And then there's a lot of things on the internet which you can't actually take as fully true or not, and this is what's really scary sometimes. There was one fan who apparently seemed as if she had left the Blackpink concert wherever she was. She was recording a video walking down the street, and it seemed like she had just come and finished a Blackpink concert. She was talking about how disappointed she was in the concert by talking about how there were certain parts where they didn't sing and there was lazy choreography, and she had just seen Stray Kids a little bit ago, and she's now comparing their performance to Blackpink to say there's a huge discrepancy, and even saying that if she had seen Blackpink first and then Stray Kids, there probably would have been a different reaction and she wouldn't have had that high expectation for Blackpink when she ended up seeing them. She talks about how the intro was very long, like they allegedly did a 3-minute intro for each of them, and then they were 30 minutes late for their own concert, to even accusing them of using a playback more, and obviously that means they were lip syncing. However, there were some people who talked about being at the same concert that she was in and saying that it was clear that none of those things were true. And of course, some of these accusations are easy to disprove if they didn't happen. So it really just takes one person who is at the concert to come online and say, no, they didn't start 30 minutes late, or no, they didn't lip sync at all during their concert. Now, the alleged proof that people are going by with this is them saying that it was clear that Blackpink wasn't lip syncing. I personally believe that Blackpink typically puts on a pretty good performance. There might be 1 or 2 songs in which it's not as great or what people think is as great. But I think overall their shows are really good. And so personally, I don't believe this accusation that was being made. But I'm not necessarily saying that this girl was lying about this, because the evidence to prove that she's lying also doesn't seem to make that much sense to me either. So I'm going to stay neutral about this. I just think the whole situation is very weird. But I do want to go on to the fact that it was quite obvious and clear that a lot of people within the K-pop community do like to lie about other groups. With people saying, if you go to this girl's page and you go through her recent posts or posts from way back, you'll allegedly see that she has never made a post about Blackpink or ever talked about that, but in fact has talked multiple times about BTS. So this led many people to think that it's just a disgruntled BTS fan, but didn't want to mention BTS in this video because they didn't want to get BTS in the crossfire of this. So instead they decided to mention Stray Kids, so if there is any backlash, it'll go to them and BTS avoids this whole situation. If this is in fact something that is made up, then this is not only a little bit embarrassing, but genuinely you need to be put into a mental hospital. Why do people feel so comfortable going on the internet and completely just making up a story? This would be a grown woman doing this, trying to add to the flame or bully someone. Why? And so again, I don't know what's true and what isn't, but if this is true, then this is really bad and they definitely should get a mental evaluation. And of course, we have to end this with, this was translated from a different language to English, so I don't know what's true and what isn't. Now, a lot of people have also felt that V has recently addressed the pro-Israel or Zionist claims that have been floating around the internet, with this conversation being had due to the fact that V is now the ambassador of Kpop Korea. Now, I've spoken about this before, and I've mentioned that Kpop Korea is a completely different branch of Kpop from the American one. In fact, I don't believe it's even owned by the American company, so whatever beliefs or political statements the American company may or may not have made, the Korean one would have no association with that. So that's the first and foremost and probably the most important thing that should just be mentioned, and it would debunk this whole thing outright. The second thing that happened was that there was a string of comments, and I mean several comments on V in his post, talking about the promotion of Coca-Cola and V and his ambassadorship. He posted on his Instagram and he left the comments on, which I think a lot of people were very shocked about. His comment sections are usually completely turned off, except for the people that he is following back, which is just the BTS members. So usually only they can comment. V racked up about, I would say, 40,000 comments before he eventually turned off his comments altogether for this post, with many people saying that he's aware of what people are saying about him, what the comments are, and he's just trying to shut the comments off because he doesn't want to respond. But people are saying him shutting the comments off is almost an admission of guilt, and he knows he's doing something wrong. There are a couple of people who are talking about the fact that his comment sections are usually turned off, and he has always turned it off. However, as of recently, that's not true, and he had his comment section on at least for the last few posts. If you go back, you can see the comments on there, you can see what everyone is saying, and I think I can even leave a comment. Now, what I'll say, which is really shocking, is that his general posts usually just get about a few thousand comments, maybe a little over 10,000 for a really good post, but generally anywhere from 5 to 10,000 comments. This post had 40,000 comments, so there were definitely a lot of people who were very angry or had a lot of things to say, because you know when people get angry, they likely leave 10 times more comments than they normally would. And those comments will be large paragraphs. So how can one justify him turning off the comments on this post? Well, you definitely can. And I'll say you're allowed to turn off the comments if you feel like it is fostering an unsafe environment. This is not an admission of guilt. This is not him feeling guilty about something that he did not do wrong. This is just simply him feeling like the environment has turned unsafe and he wants to turn the comment section off. There also could be a PR team behind him that definitely had asked him to do that, as it was on for quite some time, so he probably didn't even look at it or really cared about the interactions, but when someone told him to turn it off, he decided to go ahead and do that. This is also fine, and people like to take those little interactions, such as when other celebrities delete comments or other celebrities make a post that feels like addressing of an issue. They always take that as an admission of guilt, when in reality, I bet most of the time the celebrity isn't really even thinking about it. Because most of the time the celebrity's conscience is clean. V is not guilty of anything, and him turning off the comments could be for various different reasons that we don't even know. So I could have been completely wrong about this, and it could be several different other things. But guess what? Because of this, we're probably going to see even less updates and live streams and stuff from him just for a little while. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your thoughts are. Make sure you check out Patreon. I'll leave a link at the top of the description. Thank you for this lovely comment right here. Love you. Bye.